Welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where we bring enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics for the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. Here's your host, Max Anjanetta Jones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Carol's Courage to Confidence segment of the Max Anjanetta Jones Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. And at the Courage to Confidence corner, we say, if you have just a little bit of courage, and we know you do, and you hire a good coach like me, we are going to quickly get you into the effective action steps you get to take to get you some immediate results. I am so excited to have here today Mr. Bob Hunter. Bob, you know what? I don't even know where you live, and I did read your bio. You've got an interesting story to tell us. Where are you chiming in from today?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia today.
I like Atlanta. I have for decades wanted to live in a house on West Paces Ferry going up to the governor's mansion.
Yeah. Beautiful area. Yeah.
I'm from the deep South. And when I saw those mansions sitting back, they sit back from the road.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I saw them was at Christmas time. And
they were good time to see them.
Yeah, they were all lit up. And my friend took me up that road to where the governor's mansion was lit up. Oh, it was incredible. I like Atlanta. I haven't been there in a while, but awesome. I'm excited. So you've got a great story, but first I'd like you to start with just telling people, who you are and what you're doing in the world.
Yeah. So my name is Bob Hunter. I am the CEO of Oxford Pierpont, and we do business development. And more recently, we've been focusing on business financing, and that has a lot to do with the pandemic. And just a quick rundown. So we had our business financing company. We realized in doing that, a lot of the people who need the most help are small to medium business owners. Mm-hmm. And so we made a whole separate brand just for them. That is mybusinesscredit.com, where we take more time to teach people about the things that might trip them up when they're trying to access funding. Just because statistically, about 92% of them are going to fail in the first 5 years if they're undercapitalized. So we're trying to avoid that. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And I'm telling you, you'll never be out of business. There's so many people with bad credit. Goodness. I've had some challenges there myself. And I trusted someone to help me, and I made a mistake. So we all get to learn from our mistakes. But I want to go back before you did this. You have a fascinating story.
Sure.
I read it, right? Great life, great wife, great dog. I love that you had great job until sickle cell anemia took the vision in your right eye. Yes. And then right after that, the next sentence was sickle cell took the hearing in your left ear. And I thought, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it was actually, so hearing was gone by 2012. That was actually Friday, July 13th of 2012. Wow. And the eye wasn't gone until Friday again, February 29th of 2016. Something about those odd days, So you had, what is that? What do they call that? Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Then the leap year, like really? The 29th, I just learned to stay home on those days.
But just listening to you and listening to what you're doing in the world now and how many people you're helping.
Yeah.
And you said leap year. To me, it looks like it gave you the opportunity to leap forward into what you're doing today. So talk a little bit about that transition from having the great job and everything to owning your own business.
Well, I think, I think sometimes when we are getting too comfortable in our lives and there's a greater purpose for each of us, sometimes we have to get a little bit of a violent nudge at times. At least that's how it felt at the time, because you got to imagine, I love watching anime, Japanese anime, where the subtitles, because it's in Japanese, I don't speak Japanese, subtitles are very, very small. I could not read my Dragon Ball Super subtitles on the anime. No. That was my motivation to get my vision back. And I mean, I lost my job and stuff, but the important thing was that I could not read anime for like a good 3 months. But you get those little nudges in life that force you out of your comfort zone. And then there are people who survive it and end up being better off because of it. And then there are some times where you let it beat you down. So I hope that most people are able to see what I've been through and realize, like, hey, it's not the end of the world. Bad things happen. So you lose an eye, lose an ear, you move on, you end up helping people anyway. So That's kind of how I look at it. And now I can, of course, watch my animes in full Japanese, tiny subtitles, and it's all fine.
It's all good now. We can read
Yeah, yeah.
it.
You
Oh,
gotta keep in mind what's important. So,
you remind me of a couple of things. I don't know if you've ever heard. Have you ever heard of Joyce Meyer?
yes, definitely.
Right. So one of the things she says, what is the best thing you can do when you're hurting,
Mhm.
or when you're sad or depressed or whatever, is to go help somebody else. And that's exactly what you did, right? You were hurting, things that you had, you lost, things you thought you might always have lost, and you took that vision and turned it into helping other people. So tell us a little bit more about your business, and I'd love to hear a couple of your success stories if you got a couple.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, when I started the business, and I've now, of course, more than half a decade in, I've talked to so many hundreds of business owners and been able to see the patterns in their own stories and journeys. And often, the people that I talk to, their business was usually started because of one of three main reasons, right? They had some incredible passion for something, and they had the motivation to just go ahead and do it. They hated their current circumstances and job, and that's why they ended up saying, hey, I'm going to go and work for me, and I'm going to go and build my own thing and control my own life in that way. And so they get into business for that reason, or they just have such an idea that they believe in so much, and they're able to mobilize the people around them to an extent that it's worth pursuing. And so they started that business for that reason. The problem with all three of those things is business can often be an afterthought for a lot of people. That's how it was for me. Mine was the reaction to losing my job. I literally felt like I didn't have any other choice because I was making this certain amount of money. I didn't really know how I was going to quickly be able to come back up with that. I had all these skill sets that I developed for the job. It was okay, well, let me at least temporarily have this business where I'm selling these things that I know how to do, right? These business development things that I know how to do. Of course, we know the end story here. I'm still doing business. I've not had a job since, but that is how that happened. And getting to that, there was so much of a struggle that was really just a product of pure ignorance, not knowing what you don't know. And so
Me
much of our
too.
business now is just simply being that voice that says, hey, here's where all of the landmines are. Here are all of the pitfalls. We believe in your business, but do not go and get caught on all of these little these areas where they're super avoidable if you just know about them. This is the way that you need to go about getting your finances in order. This is how you need to do your marketing. This is how you need to do your staffing and your growth and business planning and accounting. All of these different business development things that cause so many people to fail. That is what we focus on trying to help people through.
And I'm with you. I'm going to give you a fourth category. May I?
Yeah, definitely.
There are those of us who loved corporate America,
Hmm.
and maybe we got a couple of those nudges you were talking about,
Hmm.
and we didn't listen to them, so we get hit up beside the head with the two by four.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
my background is I'm an ex-collegiate professional tennis player.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I spent 26 years as a sales expert for Fortune 100 companies. And
Mhm.
through a series of events with this last small company, I got fired 6 weeks into the job for giving my opinion on something. I got an email asking
Wow.
my opinion on something, right?
Wow.
And nobody in my family has ever owned their own business. I did not want to own my own business. I told
Mhm.
God did not want to own my own business. He wasn't listening, right? I was known for the longest time as the reluctant entrepreneur.
Yep.
And so I hear what you're saying. I did not have a great idea for a business. And I think that was part of the challenge for me. What is it
Mhm.
that I really, really want to do? I mean, I spent my entire 401k looking for a job because all I could see is that I was this
Yeah.
buttoned up corporate sales professional. That's all I knew, right?
Yep.
And talk about that, how some people, we forget how to separate our who from our do.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that and identity and how you help people really move down that path toward their business.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I often talk about, and this is advice that I take for myself as well, is you, at least I have found more success when you're genuinely trying to help other people through
Mm.
your business. What I mean by that is if you're just trying to make something that produces the most money possible as quickly as possible, you are kind of setting yourself up for a higher likelihood of failure just
Okay.
because you're never going to understand your customer base at the way that they need to be understood. You're never going to have the inherent passion in your business that's going to motivate your team, motivate the people that are going to be your partners, your vendors, the people who do business with you, the people who invest in you. So it's really important to make sure that when you're thinking about, hey, what business do I want to start or what do I even want to get into, making sure that it is something that you can actually believe in and stand behind, and you're going about it in a way that's going to help people. And the reason that is so important is because business, at least in my experience and in the experience of the people that I've consulted over the years, all of us have the same story. It can be very draining. When you get to a job, you give that person your time, that job. Usually it's 8 hours on average here in the States. And then you go home, you can go back to your life. Of course, you have those jobs where you might be taking your work home with you, but it's still just a job. There's still at least the possibility of that separation, right? And at the end of that exchange of time, there is always that paycheck. In business, you might be doing double the time
Yep.
for less than half the money, if any money at all. Okay.
Yes.
And it is so easy to get burnt out when you're trying to wear all of these different hats, hats that don't even have anything to do with your passion. Maybe you're an artist, but you're over here trying to wear the accountant hat and you're just not getting it and it's stressing you out. Or you're an artist and you're trying to wear the manager hat and trying to figure out, hey, how am I going to manage and keep all of these people on the same page? If you're not passionate about your business because you chose a business that you can really believe in, you're going to get burnt out within that first 5 years and you'll never have made it to success. So it's just really about thinking about something that is going to make you happy for the long term, thinking about something that is going to contribute to the well-being of other people, and thinking about something that that you can stay motivated and see all the way through to the end, even when that initial fire starts to get a little bit weak. So,
You
yeah.
remind me of a couple of things. Have you heard of the book Giver's Gain?
No, that sounds like a
Great.
really good book,
It
though.
is a great book.
I'm
Pick
gonna
that
write
one
that
up.
one
Giver's
down.
Gain. I when I'm listening to you talk, it's so in alignment with what you believe and what you're doing. He's got some great stuff in that book. I can't think of the author right now. I read it about 3 years ago, but it's a great book,
Yeah.
Giver's Gain. The other thing that you made me think of is you said it a little bit differently than I do, but here in America, well, I'm sure it happens all over the world, but especially here in America, most people do what? How much can I have and what do I got to do to get it? Right.
Yep.
And what I teach and I believe from a servant leadership perspective is who do you get to be? I believe in be, do, have. And you kind of triggered that for me when you were talking about who are they being in their passion? How are they showing up in
Yes.
service? And oftentimes, I actually spoke at a large gala a few months ago, and I had them do this exercise. I'll give it to you. So, right, I had them close their eyes. This isn't a
Hmm.
big ballroom, it's a gala. They close their eyes, and I want you to
Right.
picture the two words, I am. Just picture I am.
I am.
I'm going to give you about 10 seconds, and I want you to come up with 3 words. If you were going to tell somebody who you are, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself?
I could only come up with one.
Okay, that's okay. Give us
uh,
one.
the first one that came to me is happy, and it's because it's something that I'm actively in pursuit of, and not fully achieved yet. So I think I need to find a good definition of what that even means. And I say that because whenever I'm doing a consultation with a new client, one of the very first things I will ask them is, "Hey, what does success actually look like? How are we supposed to know whether or not we've done a good job for you?" So
Yes,
I asked them, what does success look like? And in the context of happiness, I think I'm still trying to determine what happiness actually looks like to me. So when he said I am, happy is the one that that stood out to me a little bit because I have to got to figure out what that is
right.
beyond just this work machine that I am.
Exactly. So I want to kind of tie that up for you.
Yeah.
So I have a contract with myself. Let
Okay.
me back up real quick. I was at the gala. This
Mhm.
lady volunteered to stand up, and she said, I'm a good mother, I'm a great nurse, and I'm a marathon runner. That's what she described herself. And I looked around the room and I said, did y'all hear that? I said, she's none of those things. None of those. Those are things that she does. Who does she get to be? What are her ways of being to be a good mother, right? What are her ways of being to be a great nurse? And when we can look at that, I have a contract with myself. It's on a big whiteboard in red ink because sometimes I get to be reminded, right? I'm a powerful, courageous, loving leader. That's who I am. And on days when maybe somebody throws me a curveball and I don't feel very courageous, I get to look at that and say it out loud and remind myself who I am so that I do what? I don't make a decision based on emotion. It's one of the things I help my clients with, right? So talk about that, how you help get your clients out of the emotion of it, especially because the business is their baby, right? They want to hold on to it. Talk a little bit about how you help your clients that way.
The biggest way that I help them is by helping them see the future. Because I often equate it to a GPS. Whenever you're putting a destination into your GPS, it's always putting the end goal, right? And then based on that end goal, it's measuring where you want to be from where you currently are and mapping out the route. Okay. And then even if there are detours and things that might change along the way, the destination, because you knew it, the GPS is always able to get you back on track. And so I've found that if I help people see the destination for their business in a 5-year time frame at the minimum, that helps them think completely differently about their business today, as well as helping them to stay motivated beyond just the little challenges that they might have today, because we have a tendency to only see the detours, right? We see the little roadblocks, but we're not actually remembering, hey, but there's this greater destination that I had in mind for myself. Let me continue on staying on that path. Not to mention knowing where you're supposed to be going helps you constantly measure whether or not you're staying on the right path. So that is the one thing that we definitely focus on when we're having that part of the conversation.
So you remind me of something I say sometimes in my talks. I talk about, you've ever heard somebody say, I'm just running into a brick wall. I've run into a brick wall.
Yes.
and I laugh at him and I'm like, well, the brick wall's not put there to keep you out. The brick wall's put there to see how badly you want it and how you're going to figure out how to either go over it or go around it, right? It's to keep the people out who don't have that. Right? Don't have that. And like you said it so well early in the beginning, I mean, entrepreneurs, we all get tired. I mean, it was a few weeks ago and I'm like, no, I'm not working on Sunday. I'm committed, right? Okay, I'll do it, right? Because it's you. It's just, I didn't have somebody to delegate it to. One of the things I really want to make sure we cover in our time is I'd love to hear how you help people from a business credit, getting financing to support their business. I know for me, that was a challenge. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to go get, capital. I was using all my own. Not a good idea, right? I didn't know that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So first, I kind of try to help people understand that there's this big myth that's out there on the internet where, like all over YouTube, Instagram, social media, you'll see people saying something along the lines of, hey, you can go and get an EIN from the IRS tomorrow, and you don't have to put your social down on anything, and you're going to be able to go buy a car through your business and go buy, properties through your business, just all this stuff. Somehow, just by getting that EIN in 5 minutes from the IRS website, you're just going to be able to get all of this magical stuff. And that is the biggest thing that people come to me with, and it's just not entirely true. And it leads people to believe that they don't have to focus on their personal credit because they think that they'll just simply have this amazing business credit that'll come out of nowhere and take care of all their problems. The very first thing is making sure people understand, hey, if you're dealing with anything less than a 680 FICO credit score, work on that. We don't do personal credit because, there are 1,001 people that are a Google search away that will directly help you build personal credit. It's not an area that we need to serve, but we do emphasize the importance of working on your personal credit. Okay. Now, while you're working on your personal credit, yes, let us also be building the business credit so that over time and in a reasonable amount of time, you're able to separate yourself from your business, because that's the other big thing. People are too intertwined with their business, intertwined in a way that their address and their business, their personal business address are still the same. Their personal business phone number are still the same. They might even still have a shared bank account where they're mixing money as if they're sole proprietorship, with their business when they're registered as an LLC and should be keeping separate records as such. And so if you are going to put yourself in the shoes of the lender, right? Hey, lender, I need $100,000. Well, the lender just wants to know, if we give you that $100,000, are you going to give it back? How likely are you to default on the loan? So all of those questions that they end up asking you, and it's a lot of them, a lot, but all of them are really just to answer that one question. If we give you money, are you going to pay it back, or are you going to be one of the people that default on the loan? And everything that is involved in building business credit is really about further strengthening your answer to that question. Hey, I've got relationships with 15 vendors who I've paid on time, who give me net terms, and I always honor those net terms. I pay my bill in full. Hey, I've got business credit cards, or even just regular secured credit cards. Here's my payment history. Hey, I've got good cash flow in my business. We're making at least $10,000 a month, and we're actually keeping healthy amounts of money in the bank account. Again, every time you're able to say one of those things, that makes the lender feel better about doing business with you. So much of the initial training that we do for people is about helping them understand that mindset of credibility, making yourselves and making your business into something that anyone would actually want to lend money to, like making yourself someone that we feel comfortable lending money to. All of that is just credibility. Next is getting into the specifics. Okay, great. So you've gotten all the basics done. You've separated yourself from your business. You have your EIN. You've got your separate phone number, email address, website, all that good stuff. Now let's actually show some track records of you paying for things on time, small things. If you are in a big city, you're probably paying for gas. Go get a gas card, pay that bill on time. Maybe your business does not qualify for an unlimited American Express today, right? But I bet you can go get a secured credit card for your business, pay that bill on time. If you have money coming into the business, right? Make sure that you're putting that money into a certificate of deposit, and then asking your bank for a business line of credit that is secured by the CD. Now you're earning interest on your initial money while you're also building credit from the money that you were going to spend anyway, right? These are just little things that people don't even know that they could be doing. But when done correctly and done for a period of at least 90 days, ideally 6 months, but at least 90 days of being able to show, hey, I have good cash flow for these last 3 months. I have good relationships with my vendors, with the gas card, with Uline, with the store credit card, whoever it is. I've been paying my credit card bill on time and using it responsibly, not going over my limit, paying it in full. Now, when it's time to talk about that initial $100,000, now we've got a stronger conversation. And even with all that stuff, if your personal credit score is still too low, you're still going to have a hard time talking through that conversation. So still take care of that personal credit.
Absolutely. I have a question for you that I was challenged with. How do I get my own Dun & Bradstreet credit score? My business credit score. How do I get that? I Googled it. I went in there and put my stuff in.
Yeah. Get your DUNS number, and they will give you an account. Okay. And then the next thing is you need to be reporting all of the things that you're paying for. And I mean, even if it's small things. So anything that you're paying to another company, I'll give you a very easy one that people might not even think about. We have to pay for software, right? So we've got a membership to Adobe Creative Suite. That's our graphics software.
Okay.
It's like $60 a month. You would never think that that needs to be reported to your business credit, and yet we've been paying them every month on time for the last 6 years. That can go to Dun & Bradstreet if you tell them about it, right? So that's just an example. An easier example are things that already say, hey, we report to Dun & Bradstreet. So if you go to mybusinesscredit.com, under the resources tab, you'll see two little subsections. One says credit cards, one says vendors. You can easily click on any one of those and we tell you immediately, this one reports to Dun & Bradstreet, this one reports to Experian, this one reports to Equifax, and you can go about it that way. But if you tell them this needs to be reported, then they will. Another big thing is a lot of companies often will not report unless you ask them to. A big one is American Express. Before I knew what I know now, I mean, we've had our American Express cards for years. They weren't reporting anything. So we're not getting credit for all of this wonderful payment history, right? And all of our amazing limits and all that stuff. Well, now it's something that they can do because you just simply ask. So that is why I would say is just ask, make sure that the credit bureaus know what you're paying for, and then it's reported.
And you said small. So for example, someone's like I've had some coaches as clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're starting out. So they're paying their, $15, excuse me, $15 a month Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying $20 to MailChimp. And all of those things count too, even though
Yep,
they're
I
small.
would tell Dun and Bradstreet about everything because they're right there on the phone for you. Now, I will give a word of advice. They will try to sell you this plan that's like $1,100. You do not need that.
They
That
tried
is
to
like
say
one of the
that to me.
first things that they say as soon
Yes.
as you talk to them. And it's been going on for years. It's been the same thing. As soon as you talk to them, they will try to sell you their like $1,100 plan. You don't need that. You just simply need them to be aware that, hey, I have this account with this company, and I've been paying it on time, and I've got a billing history. Often, you can even ask the companies themselves if they will report it. But if there are things where it's not really a customer service situation, like you're calling Adobe, for example,
Sure.
yeah, it's easier to have just told Dun and Bradstreet, hey, here are the invoices for what I've been paying for. Another way that you can go about that to get credit for it is all of those recurring expenses, put them onto a business credit card. Then you
Okay.
pay the one bill. You pay the one credit card bill in full every month. That's also going to help you because you have activity that is constantly coming off of that card, and you're simply paying that bill every time. So
Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. I could sit here and pick your brain forever.
please do.
Tell everybody who is your ideal client?
Hmm. Ideal client depends on which company you're asking about. For my business credit, I would definitely say a business owner who has been in business for at least 2 years. They've got a 680 or higher credit score. They've got 15 vendor lines of credit. I'm getting very specific here. They've got 15 vendor lines of credit. And they've got cash flow of at least $30,000 per month. And the reason I listed those things specifically is
Sure.
because if you're trying to get what's called unsecured business financing, those are just a few of the qualifications that you're going to be asked for. So if you
Okay.
say ideal, that's the person who's going to right away qualify for that $100,000
Okay.
without very much effort.
Awesome. And we're running your information, your contact information there across the bottom of the screen if you can see it.
Awesome.
And I know you have more than one business. Is there another type of ideal client that you'd like to tell us about before we wrap up today?
Yeah, right now we're just really focused on my business credit because that one is the
Okay.
newest, and
Sure.
we are on this active marketing campaign. It's funny, a lot of my clients at Oxford, I tell them, "Hey, how's anyone supposed to know that your business is out there if you don't tell anyone about it?" So I'm taking my own advice, and I asked my assistant to get me on 100 podcasts, and I think this is like number 31. So
Fantastic.
I am actively taking my own advice there and overcoming my own introversion in the process. So this has been helpful for me too. But yeah, my business credit, just being able to help people. In another month or so here, we'll be launching my business credit community, which is
Okay.
we are giving everyone a free training, like free course, free forever for all of our members on step by step everything that you need to do to build business credit successfully. All of the videos are fully animated. Everything has been written from scratch. And the reason I'm doing that is because honestly, when I was starting out, I didn't have several $1,000s to go spend to buy the information that I needed.
Right.
And this valuable information is often behind some enormous paywall. And then you pay the fee, and it's not even great information. It's information you could have pieced together on the internet, and it's not even necessarily cohesive. So I made sure we had an amazing course and then gave that course away. So all of that will be under the My Business Credit Community tab, which will be live by the end of this month. So very exciting.
Fantastic. Well, it has been a pleasure to have you here, Bob.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to watching your success. For those of you who have been following me here, you can come over and join me on Facebook on Mondays at 12 noon, where we have Carol's Full Courage to Confidence Corner. Uh, We have a lot of fun over there. We talk business, we talk life, we do a lot of cool things over there. Love to have you come join me. Connect with me on my personal page on Facebook, and come back next week right here on Max and Janetta's Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where we say, trust your intuition, get into action, and have success. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
The Intuitive Entrepreneur Show is hosted by Max and Janetta Jones and is brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, business, community, and life. This has been a production of True Awesome Life Productions, who asked, what does your true awesome life look like? Start that journey today at trueawesomelife.com. For more information on this or past episodes, go to theintuitiveentrepreneurshow.com.